Right now with could be the most competitive Republican race next month in the March primary, the Republican race for Texas Attorney General. Polls show it potentially headed for a runoff. Three conservatives are challenging incumbent Ken Paxton. Paxton declined our invitation to appear today, but the other candidates are joining us this morning. Former Texas Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman, retiring Congressman Louis Gohmert, and Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush are here. Since Bush comes first alphabetically, he will start us off here. Commissioner, welcome to our program here. You have the second most amount of cash on hand right now. You are second in some of the polls behind the incumbent Ken Paxton, but Paxton remains the leader far ahead of you despite his legal troubles. What do you think that says about the Republican primary voter?
Well, Jason, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to visit with your viewers to talk about the top cop position in our state. And the grassroots reception has been overwhelming. If you look at our endorsements in the law enforcement community, whether it's on our southern border, the National Border Patrol Union, or the over 40 constables and sheriffs that have joined this campaign, I think it's building to be a successful race. Look, we've said all along, Jason, this would be a runoff between me and Ken. And if you look at the history of Texas politics, which I know you are a student of, when a statewide incumbent gets forced into a runoff, it's usually a bad sign that a majority of Republicans of his own party right now want to change. And so in a runoff, I'm ready to be that voice to clean up corruption, not only in the Attorney General's office, but in county and local government. That's the role of what the AG needs to take on, is to ensure integrity and honesty in our process.
But it's a four-way race. How confident are you that this will be this will end in a runoff on March 1st?
You know, the formula is coming together to show that this will be a runoff, whether it's the endorsements, whether it's the money raising, but more importantly, it's just the support that we're getting in the grassroots. You know, we're in the middle of our Texas First tour, hitting over 50 locations throughout the state of Texas in the last 6 weeks. It's really, Jason, our get out the vote effort. We have 600 volunteers knocking on over 50,000 doors and 25,000 calls, largely driven by young Texans. That's what's really inspiring about this campaign is kind of the next generation of Texans having their voice heard.
But considering your organization and the get out the vote effort that your campaign is clearly making on this, why do you think the polls still show the incumbent so far ahead?
Well, we like the trajectory that we're on. Earlier on, you know, whether it's Dallas Morning News or other polling sources out there, they show that we are gaining ground. And they also show, Jason, that only 1 of 5 Republicans know that their top attorney is facing 3 felony counts and is under FBI investigation. So my message is very simple. You need to fire him because he's under a cloud of suspicion, but you need to hire me because I bring specific ideas on securing border, backing law enforcement, and restoring integrity to the top cop position.
Commissioner Bush, you've talked about the border several times. You on your website, you talk about wanting to work with the governor to deploy more National Guard troops, toughen criminal penalties on drug smugglers and human traffickers, and finish President Trump's wall. None of that, though, is the responsibility of the Attorney General.
Well, as land commissioner, I made it early on in my process in the Biden administration to start building the Texas wall. And so that's why I worked with the Texas legislature. And I'm proud to report, Jason, that we'll finish on state acreage about 8 miles of wall in a highly trafficked area where 200 migrants come across. As Attorney General, I think you can use the platform to advocate in the halls of power in our legislature to enhance criminal sentencing for human traffickers and drug smugglers. We are not getting serious enough about this problem when we see that fentanyl now is the cause of one of the largest sources of death in our nation, with over 100,000 overdoses of a toxic cocktail. But as AG specifically, I'm the only candidate in this race to propose a mobile prosecution unit to deploy all available legal resources, whether they're lawyers, paralegals, to work with ranchers and farmers, to start arresting under state criminal trespassing laws, because our county jails, our DAs, and our sheriffs in border areas of Texas are totally overwhelmed.
I want to ask you about your opponents here, since this is a really highly watched race, and there are 4 candidates in the race here too. Ken Paxton is going after Louis Gohmert with negative attack ads. Eva Guzman, the former Supreme Court justice, is attacking you, telling us in an interview, among other things, questioning your experience and your judgment, and saying you haven't been in a courtroom for decades. Would you like to respond to that?
Sure. I've not only been a private attorney, but also an attorney as land commissioner. I brought suits on behalf of the state of Texas and the school children, which are my beneficiary, and really the taxpayers' beneficiary, whether it's defending the banks of the Red River or taking on radical environmentalist plaintiffs' attorneys under the Endangered Species Act. So a lot of people talk about suing the federal government, but I actually have as land commissioner. I've defended
Right.
the oil and gas industry, and I've actually won in the courtroom.
Gotcha. Commissioner Bush, we appreciate the time. Good luck to you, sir.
Great to be with you.